Our YouTube travel channel just hit 20,000 subscribers, and in this video I'm going to show you how much YouTube pays us and a whole lot more. Now before my wife and I ever got into YouTube, I worked as a financial analyst for a big bank. So in this video I'm going back into financial analyst mode to show you how much our channel currently makes, how much it made at different points along the way, what factors contributed to the increases and decreases in revenue, and how much we expect our channel to make over the next year. But before we get into all that, I did not get into YouTube to have to wear a suit. Much better. Now let's get into the numbers. Now our first number is 2,312, which is how many days it took us to reach 20,000 subscribers after posting our very first video way back on November 17th, 2016. And to do that math for you, that comes out to about 6 years and 3 months. But I should point out, we did not really start taking YouTube seriously until around February of 2020. But after we started posting weekly, things started picking up and we got our next 500 subs in just 3 months and hit our 1,000 sub mark in May of 2020. And it was at this time that we also met the YouTube monetization requirements, which is 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time in our rolling 365-day period. So now that we're finally monetized, let's see how much we made in those first few months. So as you can see, our first day of being monetized, we made a whopping 50 cents. And after that, we made anywhere from around 30 cents to $1.70 per day for the next month or so. But we had a huge spike on July 6th when we made almost $10 in one day, and then made over $15 just a few days later. Now what happened here? We were opportunistic. So one thing that I heard about YouTube that's always stuck with me is that you either have to be the best at something, the first at something, or at least be doing something different. So at this point we were still filming with pretty subpar equipment. We were using like a $20 microphone, and let's be honest, we still had no idea what we were doing. So needless to say, we probably weren't going to be making the best videos out there, but we could at least make the first. And in this case, we made the first video on a new tourist attraction in St. Pete, Florida, the St. Pete Pier. And while watching those videos now may make us cringe just a little, they did get us 55 new subscribers and make us over $67 in just a 2-week period. And as a small YouTube channel, being the first at something is going to be a great opportunity to start growing your channel. And for us, it really helped us to start gaining some momentum just a couple of months into being monetized. Now after the initial boost from those Pier videos, you will see that our revenue started going back down, but even then we are still making over twice as much as we were prior to posting those videos. Now if you look out a few months further through the end of 2020, you can see that our revenue was pretty consistent, averaging somewhere around $2 per day until early December, when our average started climbing to around $4 per day, and we even had a couple of days over $7. Now I wish we could say there was a specific thing we did that resulted in this increase, but the truth is that YouTube advertisers were just willing to pay more at this time. Now I will go into how much YouTube pays us per view a little bit later in this video, but it does vary quite a bit. And as you might expect, it's at its highest those first few weeks in December when everyone's out doing their Christmas shopping. Now looking out a few months further, our revenue did drop again after Christmas, down to an average of about $3 per day, but then did start increasing again as we started putting out higher quality content and building our subscribers. But it was in late March of 2021 that we started seeing a big increase in our revenue again. We had an $18 day in late March, followed by our first $20 day just a few weeks later. And our revenue continued trending upward through June 2nd of 2021, which marked our 1-year anniversary of being monetized. Now before we tell you how much we made in our first year, I do want to point out the reason for this big increase in revenue that began here in late March of 2021. This time it wasn't due to a specific video or two, but rather that pretty much all of the videos that we'd posted over the last few months were beginning to get more views, mainly due to seasonality. So seasonality as it relates to YouTube basically just means that certain videos on your channel, or even your channel as a whole, may perform better during certain times of the year. In our case, the majority of our recent content was centered around Florida beach towns, which see their lowest level of tourists in the fall during hurricane season, and their highest level of tourists during spring break and the summer when kids are out of school. So it really should have come as no surprise at all that our channel would begin performing better in late spring into the summer, and we've seen that trend trend continue year after year. So at this point, we'd made it to early June, our channel had been monetized for a full year, and you're probably all wondering how much YouTube paid us during that time. And the answer is $1,995.88, which comes out to $5.47 per day, which obviously isn't that much. But at this point, we were still making these videos pretty inexpensively, and we're probably only spending maybe around $100 per video, but even that still adds up to over $5,000 in expenses in our first year, which means we actually probably lost somewhere around $3,000. And as depressing as those numbers might sound, they were improving by enough to make us want to keep working on our channel, and also to make me quit my job to focus on our channel full time. If you want to hear more about that story, then check out that video after this one. But for now, let's recap our first year of being monetized on YouTube. So on our first day of being monetized on June 3rd, 2020 through June 2nd, 2021, our channel made just under $2,000 on right around 315,000 total views and 26,000 hours of watch time. We'd gained right around 1,750 subs during that time, and our total sub count increased to around 2,750. Now before we get into our year 2 revenue on YouTube, I wanted to let you know why Jamie, my wonderful wife, has been absent from the last couple of videos. And that's because she's been dealing with sciatica, and if any of you've had sciatica or know someone who's had it, you probably know how terrible and debilitating the pain can be. Now as I record this, she's been dealing with this for over 2 weeks, but thankfully she does finally seem to be improving. With that said, she still can't stand or walk for more than 20 minutes at a time, which does make filming our typical videos pretty much impossible, and that's why you're stuck with me. But if things keep trending in the right direction, we will be bringing you more Florida travel content in no time. Now getting back to the topic, thankfully year 2 of being monetized on YouTube got off to a great start. The summer travel season was in full force, and our numbers just kept climbing. And as good as things were going, what happened in June of 2020 we honestly didn't see coming. So for the month-long period from May 25th through June 24th, YouTube was paying us an average of $22 per day. But that number shot up even more when we had an unexpected video take off. And that video was our Longboat Key travel guide, which honestly we were quite hesitant about even making. Why? Because Longboat Key is a relatively unknown place. It's not a huge tourist destination, and most likely you've never even heard of it. But we figured since we were going to be spending a week on Longboat Key for a family vacation anyway, we might as well make a video on it. Now because most people have never heard of Longboat Key, we didn't even put Longboat Key in the thumbnail. Instead, we tried to come up with something a little bit more intriguing that might make a normal person click on it. So in this video, we titled the thumbnail "The Island of Empty Beaches," and it actually worked. This video that we almost didn't even make got over 33,000 views, 289 subscribers, and made us over $265 in the first 30 days alone. It was by far the most money any video had made us during the first 30 days, and as a result, our channel's average daily revenue rose to over $29 per day during that month. Needless to say, we were pretty excited about our channel at that point, but things would turn south pretty quickly. On June 29th of 2021, our channel had a record day of over $48, but it would take our channel almost 11 months to get back to that point. And for the 3-month period from August through October of 2021, our channel was back to only making around $15 per day. Now, as much as seasonality was helping our channel a few months earlier, it was now hurricane season in Florida, all the kids were back in school, and our channel was getting killed as a result. At this point in our YouTube careers, we pretty much know when the downfall is coming, but back in 2021, it was pretty demoralizing. Thankfully, all bad things must come to an end, and the holiday shopping season helped our channel's average revenue recover to around $24 per day for November and December. And just like the years prior, our revenue would continue to slowly rise until the next big increase in the spring and summer of 2022. Jumping forward to June 2nd, our channel had now been monetized for 2 years, and I'd been working on our channel full time for a little over a year. And as we'd hoped for, we did see a huge increase in our revenue in this second year, but as you'll see, we were still far from getting rich. So to recap our second year of being monetized on YouTube, our channel made right around $9,600 on just under under 1 million views and 100,000 hours of watch time. We'd gained over 6,800 subs during that time, and our total sub count had risen to over 9,500. And even though our year 2 revenue was around 5 times what our year 1 revenue was, YouTube still only paid us just over an average of $26 per day. At this point, our video budget had also increased to about $150 per video, or around $7,500 per year. So we probably still only made somewhere around $2,000 on our channel in year 2. So if you consider that I was putting in around 60 hours per week on the channel, and Jamie was probably putting in another 20, we were really only making around 50 cents per hour. But we will say one of our big goals when we started this channel was to have our YouTube revenue cover our travel expenses. And in year 2 of being monetized, it did. Now, just like years 1 and 2, year 3 of being monetized on YouTube started out strong. And this time we had a big pop in mid-June, which was a direct result of the release of our top 10 Tampa area beaches video. And even though we posted that video back in February of 2022, it really started taking off in June. And in the 30-day period beginning June 16th, that video got us over 43,000 views, 4,600 hours of watch time, 153 subscribers, and made us over $517. And today this video is by far our biggest revenue maker, having made us over $1,800 since we posted it just a bit over a year ago. As a result of the top 10 beaches video taking off, we had a new record day of $118 on June 18th, 2022. But as you can see in this graph, it would take us a pretty long time to reach that level again, as our revenue would once again plummet during hurricane season. But by this point, we were still making around $30 a day, even on our worst days, and we were pretty sure that things would turn back around. And as expected, things did start to pick up going into the holidays of 2022. We had a couple more $100 days in December, and for the entire month, our channel made us $2,359, or around $76 per day. Now, to start out 2023, our channel was doing better than ever. In the first week alone, we were averaging over 10,000 views per day, 1,140 hours of watch time, 75 new subs, and over $88 of revenue per day. The video we'd made around 3 months prior about moving to Florida had really started taking off, and we had a record revenue day of $136 on January 7th. And then we had our worst day ever on YouTube, both in terms of revenue and pretty much any way imaginable. And the reason for that was we got hacked. Now, for any creators out there who aren't using all means available to secure their channel, I highly recommend watching that video after this one, because two-factor authentication alone is not enough to ensure your channel's security. And we tell you all about what we did to ensure our channel's security in that video. Now, after getting hacked, our channel was down for about 4 days, and as a result made almost no revenue during that time. And while getting hacked definitely did cost us a lot of revenue and momentum, by about a month later we were back to earning roughly what we were prior to being hacked. And by the time we hit 20,000 subscribers on March 18th, our channel was averaging over 8,100 views, 1,066 hours of watch time, over 44 new subs per day, and just under $100 per day. And even better, we had our best revenue day of all time just a week later, when we made over $165 in a single day. We've also gained over 600 more subscribers. Our average daily revenue is up to around $108 per day, and we'll have our first ever $3,000 month in March of 2023. Now, if you take that average daily revenue of around $108 per day and subtract out the cost to make our average video, which is now up to around $200, that leaves us with an average income of somewhere around $80 per day. And when you consider the 11 or so combined hours we spend on this channel every day, that comes out to around $7 per hour, which is $4 less than the current Florida minimum wage and includes no benefits of any kind. Now, even though we're still making what amounts to a very poor wage on this channel, we couldn't be more thankful for where we are today. After all, 2 years ago we were still losing money on this channel, and a year after that we were still only making around 10 bucks a day. So now you know how much our channel makes with 20,000 subs, but you're not going to want to leave quite yet. And that's because I still have to explain why other channels with 20,000 subscribers might make way more or way less than our channel makes. And after that, I'm going to look into the future and project what our channel is going to make over the next year. Now, the first reason why all 20,000 subscriber YouTube channels don't make the same amount of money is because they don't get the same amount of views. So for example, some YouTube channels are able to catch lightning in a bottle and record some sort of crazy event on camera that they're never again able to replicate. And while that video might go viral and get that channel millions of views and thousands of subscribers, they're never able to replicate that type of video again. So even though that channel channel might have the same amount of subscribers as a 20K sub channel that grew their channel slowly and steadily by posting similar and consistent content, they're probably not going to get as many views because they're just not able to consistently deliver the content that their subscribers are looking for. Now, even if two channels have the same amount of subscribers and get the same number of views, there still might be a huge difference in revenue due to view duration. So looking back at our channel over the last 90 days, the average amount of time that someone watches any one of our videos is around 7.5 minutes. And with ads on our channel generally being placed around every 4 minutes with one at the beginning, that means the average viewer on our channel is seeing around 2 to 3 ads per video. And as you probably know, ad revenue is the primary way that creators get paid directly by YouTube. Now, there are a lot of channels out there who post mostly videos that are 8 minutes or less, and those videos aren't even eligible for mid-roll ads. So even if another channel has similar subs and is getting similar views to ours, if they're posting only 8-minute videos, their viewers are probably seeing far fewer ads, and as a result, that channel is probably making much less revenue from YouTube. And of course, the opposite is also probably true if a channel has a much longer average view duration than ours does. Now, even in the almost impossible scenario where two channels have the same amount of subscribers, watch time, and views, there's still a good chance that they could be making vastly different amounts of revenue from YouTube, and that's because of something called RPM. So RPM stands for revenue per mile, which on YouTube generally comes out to a figure somewhere around your total revenue divided by your total amount of views multiplied by 1,000. So for example, our channel in the last 90 days made somewhere around $7,300 on around 728,000 views, which comes out to just over a penny per view and a resulting RPM of $10.02. Now, I've seen quite a few statistics on average YouTube RPM, but it seems that the average in the US is somewhere around $4, so the fact that our channel has an RPM of closer to $10 is great. Now, what's the reason for that? Well, there's several, and the first is our channel's niche. Now, our channel's niche is travel, and more specifically, Florida and Caribbean travel, as the majority of our content involves travel in one of those two places. Now, generally speaking, people who watch our channel probably have plans to travel to or vacation in Florida or the Caribbean. And while the places we visit on our channel generally are far from the most expensive places, the average viewer of our channel generally probably does have some disposable income. Now, if our channel involved visiting only the most expensive and luxurious resorts around Florida, then our average viewer would probably have even more disposable income, would be even more attractive to advertisers, and as a result, our average RPM would probably be even higher. But just because your RPM is higher does not mean your channel is gonna make more money. Because if your channel focuses on luxury travel or some other niche that's aimed at the super wealthy, that could really limit your potential audience and also your views. Now, on the other end of things, let's assume our travel involved only budget, super low cost traveling. Now, we'd probably have a huge potential audience because almost everyone likes saving money, but our RPM would probably also be lower because our average viewer would probably have less disposable income. Now, let's get out of the travel niche altogether and think of some other niches that might perform better or worse in terms of RPM. So the first niche that comes to mind that I know has a much higher than average RPM is the investing niche. And the same reasoning applies because viewers of investing channels generally will have some disposable income and therefore will be more attractive to advertisers. Now, one of the niches that is known for having a very low RPM is the political niche. And that shouldn't come as too much of a surprise because a lot of advertisers aren't going to want to be linked with a certain political affiliation and definitely aren't going to want to be tied to a channel that might have some controversial views. Also, you sure don't have to have any disposable income to have a strong opinion on politics. Another factor that will affect your channel's RPM is your geographical location. Now, that applies not only to the location of the creator, but also to the location of the audience. Now, going back to our channel, part of the reason I think we have a higher RPM is because we do film in an area where it does cost a little bit of money to travel to and vacation in. But if our travel channel is based somewhere far more expensive, like New York, London, or Switzerland, then I would expect that our RPM would be even higher. Now, if our channel was based around traveling somewhere far less expensive, like let's say Mexico, and the majority of our viewers were from Mexico, then I would expect our RPM to be lower. But if our channel is based on traveling only to the most luxurious and expensive resorts around Mexico, then we'd probably have viewers with lots of disposable income from all over the world, and for that reason I would expect our RPM to be quite high. Now, another factor that can affect your channel's RPM is age, which also ties in with niche. For example, the video game niche is known for having a very low RPM. Now, part of the reason for that might be that you generally don't have to have a whole lot of disposable income to have some sort of video game gaming platform. But another big reason for that may be that a good portion of their viewers are kids, and all the kids I know ain't got no money. Now looking at our channel, the average age of our viewer does appear to be somewhere around 50 years old, which is an age by which hopefully you have started to save up a little bit of money. And as you can see, almost no kids watch our channel, and when they do, it's almost surely an accident. And the last factor that will likely influence your channel's RPM is safety, or more specifically, how safe your channel is to advertisers. Now this ties back into the political channel example from earlier, as well as channels that have a lot of violence or swearing, dangerous acts, controversial issues, or anything else that a typical advertiser wouldn't want to touch with a 10-foot pole. So in case you zoned out or dozed off for the past few minutes, to sum up RPM as simply as possible, if your average viewer has a higher disposable income and you aren't doing anything on your channel to scare away advertisers, then your channel should have a higher RPM. And that brings us to our final topic, how much we expect YouTube to pay our 20,000 subscriber channel over the next year. So to calculate this figure, I went back and looked at each month's revenue on our channel over the last 3 years and compared each of those revenue figures to the same month the year prior. And the numbers show that our channel started off growing really fast, with our revenue increasing by almost 500% from our first year of being monetized to our second. Now 9 months into year 3 of being monetized, our average monthly revenue is around 250% to 350% higher than the same month the year prior. And while our percentage growth rate does seem to be declining by a little bit each month, the decline has been less and less, and it does seem like it's probably going to be stabilizing somewhere around 250% from the year prior. So using a fairly conservative estimate and assuming our percentage growth rate continues to slowly decline to around 225% above prior year revenue over the next 12 months, that gives us a total projected revenue of around $49,000 over the next year. Now if you deduct our expenses, that probably still only comes out to somewhere around a minimum wage income, but if we continue to double our revenue for another year or two, then we could finally be making enough money on this channel where both Jamie and I could work on it full time, which would be an absolute dream come true. That dream started when Jamie posted the first video to our channel over 6 years ago, but became much more than a dream when I decided to quit my job and go full time on the channel around 2 years ago. And you can hear all about that story by clicking here right now. Thanks for watching.